The afternoon sun streamed through the tall windows of the Meridian, one of downtown's most prestigious restaurants. Marcus Williams moved gracefully between tables, his 5 years of experience evident in every practiced step. At 28, he'd worked his way up from busboy to senior waiter, earning respect from colleagues and regular customers alike. Table 12 had been difficult from the start. The woman, middle-aged, expensively dressed, dripping with jewelry, had complained about everything. The water was too cold. The bread wasn't warm enough. Her chair faced the wrong direction. Marcus had handled it all with professional grace, never letting his smile falter. "Excuse me," she snapped her fingers at him as he passed. "This soup is cold." Marcus approached carefully. "I apologize, ma'am." "Let me take that back to the kitchen. You people never get anything right," she interrupted, her voice loud enough to turn heads at nearby tables. Marcus felt his jaw tighten, but maintained his composure. "I'll have a fresh bowl brought out immediately." What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. She stood abruptly, grabbed her full glass of iced tea, and threw it directly in his face. The cold liquid drenched his shirt, ice cubes bouncing off his chest and clattering to the floor. "Maybe that'll teach you some respect," she hissed. The restaurant fell silent. Every eye turned toward them. Marcus stood there, dripping, his white shirt now stained brown, ice at his feet. Something inside him shifted. For 5 years, he'd swallowed his pride, accepted disrespect, smiled through insults, all because he needed this job, because he was told the customer was always right, because he was afraid of being labeled aggressive or angry. Not today. "No," Marcus said quietly, but his voice carried through the silent room. The woman blinked, clearly not expecting any response. "Excuse me?" "I said no." Marcus picked up a napkin and slowly wiped his face, never breaking eye contact. "No, I will not accept this. No, this is not acceptable behavior. And no, you don't get to treat me this way." "Do you know who I am?" she sputtered, her face reddening. "I'll have you fired." My name is Marcus Williams," he interrupted, his voice steady and clear. "I'm a human being. I have a degree in hospitality management. I've worked here for 5 years without a single complaint. I have a mother who raised me to treat everyone with dignity, and a daughter who I'm teaching to stand up for herself. And you just assaulted me." The woman's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "That's right, assault," Marcus continued. "Throwing a drink on someone is assault. And you did it because you felt entitled to. You did it because you thought there would be no consequences. You did it because you saw me as less than human. How dare you," she shrieked. "I want to speak to your manager." "You will," Marcus replied calmly. "But first, everyone in this restaurant is going to hear exactly what happened here." He turned slowly, addressing the room of silent diners. "This woman has been verbally abusive since she sat down. When I offered to replace her soup, she threw her drink in my face. Not because I was rude. Not because I provided bad service. But because she could. Because she thought I'd just stand here and take it." Several diners began nodding. One man raised his phone. He'd been recording. "I've got the whole thing," the man called out. From the moment she threw the drink. The woman's face went pale. The manager, David Chen, emerged from the back, having heard the commotion. Marcus braced himself. He knew standing up for himself might cost him his job, but David had seen everything from the kitchen doorway. "Ma'am," David said firmly, "you need to leave. Immediately." "What?" This waiter just..." "Stop," David cut her off sharply. "I saw what you did. I heard what you said. You assaulted my employee. You're banned from this establishment, and if you're not out that door in 30 seconds, I'm calling the police." The woman looked around the restaurant, searching for support. She found none. Every face looked back at her with disgust or contempt. "You'll regret this," she hissed at Marcus as she grabbed her purse. "I have connections. I'll ruin you. I'll ruin this restaurant." "No," said a voice from a nearby table. An older black woman stood up, elegant in her business suit. "You won't. Because unlike you, some of us actually do have connections. And we use them to fight racism, not to perpetuate it." She handed Marcus her card. "I'm attorney Patricia Green. I witnessed everything. If she tries anything, you call me." The man with the phone stood as well. "I'm posting this online. The world needs to see this." Within minutes, several other customers had surrounded Marcus, offering support, cards, and phone numbers. One regular customer quietly told David she was increasing her usual tip to cover Marcus's table. Why that evening, the video had exploded across social media. #Justice for Marcus was trending. The racist woman had been identified. Her name was Barbara Hutchinson, wife of a local real estate developer, but the response wasn't what she expected. Her husband's company immediately released a statement condemning her actions and announcing they were making a significant donation to racial justice organizations. Her country club revoked her membership. Her so-called friends suddenly had no memory of knowing her. Meanwhile, Marcus's courage sparked a movement. Service workers across the country began sharing their own stories of abuse and discrimination. The hashtag service workers are human spread rapidly. Marcus was interviewed by local news, then national outlets. He remained humble and focused on the larger issue. "This isn't about me getting revenge," he told reporters. "It's about dignity. Every person deserves to be treated with basic human respect, regardless of their job, their race, or their position in life. I stood up not just for myself, but for every person who's ever had to smile through disrespect because they feared losing their livelihood." 3 months later, Marcus stood on a stage at a labor rights conference, telling his story. The Meridian had promoted him to assistant manager, and he'd used his platform to push for better protections for service workers. Attorney Patricia Green had helped him draft a service workers' bill of rights that several restaurant chains were now adopting, including clear policies against customer abuse and protection for employees who stood up for themselves. Barbara Hutchinson had issued a public apology, clearly written by lawyers, but never personally reached out to Marcus. He didn't need her to. Her life had changed dramatically, divorce proceedings were underway, her social standing was destroyed, and she'd become a cautionary tale about entitlement and racism. But for Marcus, the real victory came in smaller moments. A young Latino busser who told him he'd stood up to a rude customer for the first time, a server who reported harassment instead of enduring it silently, restaurant managers who now backed their staff instead of automatically siding with customers. His daughter, now 7, who told her class, "My daddy is a hero because he was brave and stood up for what's right." Marcus never forgot that day, the cold shock of the tea hitting his face, the ice sliding down his shirt, the moment when he decided enough was enough. He'd learned something crucial, that silence in the face of injustice is its own form of violence. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply say no and mean it. The world didn't change overnight. Racism didn't disappear. Service workers still faced abuse, but Marcus had added his voice to the chorus of people demanding better. And slowly, steadily, things began to shift, because that's how change happens, not in grand dramatic gestures, but in one person, in one moment, finding the courage to say, "No. Not today. Not anymore." And refusing to accept anything less than the dignity they deserved.